good evening. Thank you for joining us on time and welcome to the study circle with another Friday. And before we begin, let's just take a few moments, a few minutes maybe to enter ourselves and gather ourselves. Usually, as we all know, we are quite dispersed, and everything is a bit rushed and we are everywhere but here. So just with the help of focusing on our breath, let's bring our attention to ourselves so that we can be fully here. So as we see, thoughts don't leave us even for a few breaths. And yet when we make these efforts, we do see a difference. So we must continue. So let's start with the circle. And last time we were still completing, the passage on the soul, and but we had discussed that we'll take up this passage that was relevant to the discussion at that time. And the passage is from a book called The Sunlit Path, and it says, sit down quietly. So if anybody is ready and willing, if they would like to unmute and go through the passage, that and then we'll take it up for reflection. So yes, please. So would anybody like to read, or should I only take us through this? Yeah, Jagan, would you like to read it for us?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you can
Just one
please. Yeah,
second.
please unmute. Like anytime you're willing, just unmute and start. Thank you.
Sure. Give me one. Yeah. So the passage says, sit down quietly. It says, when you have a little time, whether it is 1 hour or a few minutes, tell yourself, at last, I have some time to consecrate, to collect myself, to relieve the purpose of my life, to offer myself to the true and the eternal. If you took if you took care to do this each time, you are not harassed by outer circumstances. You would find out that you were advancing very quickly on the path. Instead of wasting your time in chattering, in doing useless things, reading things that lower the consciousness, it is better to be moderate, balanced, patient, quiet, but never to lose an opportunity that is given to you. That is to say, to utilize for the true purpose the unoccupied moment before you. When you have nothing to do, you become restless. You run about, you meet friends, you take a walk, you speak only of the best. I'm not referring to things that are obviously not to be done. Instead of that, sit down quietly before the sky, before the sea, or under trees, whatever is possible. Here you have all of them. And try to realize one of these things, to understand why you live, to learn how you must live, to ponder over what you want to do and what should be done, What is the best way of escaping from the ignorance and falsehood and pain in which you live?
Thank you so much. So, inviting reflections, if any. And so this is basically addressing what we should be doing when we have free time compared to what we end up doing in our free time. And if we are willing to talk about it, I think this could in itself take an hour. So if there are any reflections, please unmute and share anything that you agree with, don't agree with, or you found interesting or amusing.
Okay, regarding the purpose of life, Srini here, how do I may be asking a very basic question. So, whatever purpose we consider that, okay, this is my purpose of my life. It's all in the mind. It's just my mind says no, but we truly do not know what the purpose is.
Yeah, I'm sorry, were you asking a question or was that just a comment that we don't truly know what the purpose is, right?
Yeah, okay, my perspective is, even when we consider that, okay, this is my perspective, it's all in our mind. The way it's a kind of hallucination. No, that's what my perspective is. So
Yeah.
uh, it's
Yeah.
my perspective, but uh, uh, if it's written the other way, or if you think other way, if other things differently, we can discuss. I just put forth this point.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I think you're referring to here when it's saying that this, here, like utilize for the true purpose, right? That you're saying what is the point of me kind of reflecting on the true purpose when the true purpose is just in my mind, right? It could just be what I'm
Yes.
thinking and it has no bearing with reality, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for asking that. Any I don't know, comments from people, if any response from others?
Yeah, Taru.
Yeah.
Actually, Mother has responded to the same question, and I would just like to bring it to front.
Yeah.
So she says that before we truly get to our true purpose, and she says each person, each individual, no matter how ordinary he may think he is, each one of us is born with a purpose. We have a inner calling which we need to dig out. Now that digging out requires a lot of effort, just like any digging out, like physically, if you are digging out soil, it takes effort. So before we are able to truly dig out what is the purpose that I am born for, and the purpose may be very little, so it may not be very great purpose as is shown in movies, and like all the ideas in our head, as Shini was talking about ideas. But anyway, whether big or little, we all have a purpose. And Mother has said, when people asked, I will share the exact anecdote later. When people ask that, okay, before I reach my true purpose, before I dig out my true purpose, how should I live? What should be my attitude? And Mother has said that in each act that you are doing, knowing that it is a temporary vocation for me, it is not my true calling, just do it with an attitude of servitude, that may I offer my best here. So usually whenever we are acting with an act of, what can I get from here? What can this job give me? What can this situation give me? We are all begging all the time. So she has just shared that in between whatever temporary vocation you have, and you know that this is not my true purpose, I will get to my true purpose. But in the meantime, doing any action that we do with an act of servitude, like in Hindi we call Shraddha Bhav. So I just wanted to put forward that. Yeah.
Okay, so one question. You told about the seed, right? So, let's say a mango seed, it becomes a mango tree. So, uh, there is a method that
Srini, your
seed
voice, is breaking a bit. Like it's like kind of creating echoes. You're audible, but it's a bit hard to clearly understand. Can you just unplug and plug your microphone again? Maybe it becomes better.
Yeah. How about now? Is it better?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, you told an example about the seed, right? Let's say mango seed. So, uh, it innately becomes a mango tree. Okay. There is some effort or some environmental support needed, but it grows into a mango tree from the beginning. So, if there's a true purpose in us, so it should be so innate that we should know it from our childhood, right?
Srini, I think a lot of seeds do get wasted. Like they just remain seeds because they did not get the proper environment, the proper conditioning, not adequate water, sunlight, soil. So not all seeds who have the capability and capacity to become a mango tree do become a mango tree, right? I think you would agree with that.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just coming from there, like right now your question was basically that my purpose is also in my mind, right? So what's kind of the point? So the thing is that what now it's, how it's everything is relative, right? So if I'm living without a purpose, without even thinking about it, reflecting about it, without having a center, how am I living? And if I'm living with a purpose that I've thought of, that I have maybe reflected on, maybe dreamt of, maybe, hoped for, what would be the direction of my life? So even if it's untrue, would it not be better than just, something just flying anywhere? At least it will give me some discipline, something to look forward to, some positive, kind of construction from my side towards it. So even if like that's just, again, just I'm sharing my personal opinion that even if it's just made up, which it will be, it's better than nothing at all. It's better than having no header, right? No central grounding. And the purpose, like, in all Sri Aurobindo's and Mother's teaching, they talk about flexibility, right? Suppleness. Today, my purpose could be something else. And once, like, I don't know, I have worked on it a little bit or not, tomorrow it could be something else. After 2 years, it could be totally opposite. It's not the point that is it right or wrong, but do I feel I want to work for that? So that was one. And secondly, about the seed thing, I have to nourish it. We should know it inherently. And if we look at children, the way they live, the way they play, the free spirited that they are, how long do we let them be that way, right? We keep instilling, say fear. We keep instilling, say germ phobia, do's, don'ts, diseases, right? We don't let them be the free self that they were born as. So either we become that free and let them be free and they will have that freedom. Because I think you and I, we didn't get it inherently, right? There was so much conditioning that the seed probably naturally could not turn into a tree. But yes, even now, if given the right conditioning, maybe it does turn into a tree. Yes, please, you unmuted. Kindly share. Yeah, Srini, you had unmuted. You can
Okay.
please.
Yeah. So, yeah, I get it. So, if we have a direction, then we can grow more conscious. That's what I'm getting from you. Like, we should aspire to expand our consciousness, and we should have a direction, but not a specific goal or an ambition.
No, we
So,
can have a specific goal and ambition too, and yet it doesn't have to be rigid, right? It can give us a direction. And if we feel that, no, this direction is wrong, I can change it, right? I'm flexible. I know that this is my mind that is taking me there. And if I'm not finding joy in it, I can just change it.
Taru,
Okay, thank you.
just picking up the thread where you just right now left, that if I am running a direction which is not suiting or benefiting me, I'm happy to change it. I'm happy to observe it and change it. So I was just wondering that isn't it that right now, whatever kind of life that we are living, although I'm saying that I don't have a purpose in life, I don't have a direction to my life, I think it's quite blinding, this sentence. Because if I look at it, I do have a purpose in life right now. There are things towards which I'm running. It's just that I've never thought about them. Maybe they are just picked up from the society, maybe they are just picked up from my parents, what the peer pressure demanded, what was in fashion. But if I really, really look closely, it cannot be that I am not running towards something. So there must be something that I'm running towards. It's just that I'm blinded towards it. Isn't that?
Yeah, I agree. Consciously or unconsciously, we are running behind something. And even if at this point, if we look back at our life and see how things have unraveled, if we could connect the dots, there could be some decisions which we might have taken uh, knowingly or unknowingly or forcefully, but which turned out to be good. So this is where it confuses me. So some things which we did not like, which happened, but still it shaped us. So this
Yeah,
confuse. So
yes. So
it
I would
makes
just
me
like
like,
to add,
yeah.
yeah, just hold on here. I would just like to add. So just because this session is in accordance with Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's words. So it is very true what you said, that even if we are running not the rightmost direction from our beginning, as we were talking of, that the seed is not maybe getting the proper conditioning, even then, Sri Aurobindo has said repeatedly that even then the divine makes use of all the possible circumstances that come on the way, and we grow, we evolve through whatever blunders we commit. So I think that's where we are very much in a very safe condition, that whether we are running our inner call or we are not running our inner call, the growth of consciousness will irrespective be taking place, whether we want it or not. So I think that's really a very safe, kind of a ground that we have, all of us, because this life is drenched in ignorance. All of us have a purpose, but we are ignorant of that purpose. So the creation has made it in such a manner that since life runs in ignorance most of the times, why not make every condition suitable for growth of consciousness? So even when we are getting blows and sways and puppeted around, some growth of consciousness is happening, whether consciously, unconsciously. But that doesn't mean that I would not become conscious. Yeah, now please go on, Srinij. Yeah.
Okay, so should we go with the flow, or we should choose something specific and ignore what comes in our way?
I think it has to depend upon the amount of turmoil one is living with. Because you are okay going with the flow as long as the turmoil is not great, right? For example, if you have a little headache, you take a pill and you suppress it, right? Maybe you have a little ache in the knee, you again can take a pill, rest for a while, and still go on the same way. But when the whole body doesn't cooperate, when it say no, 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 the wrong way, head is saying the wrong way, knees are saying the wrong way, stomach is also bleeding, you're not able to eat, you're not able to breathe, then you can't just continue the same way. then you will have to think that what is it that I am doing wrong, that the whole body refuses to cooperate. So I think we have to become very sensitive. And again, this is coming from Mother Sri Aurobindo, that Mother says become very sensitive to any unease in the being. Don't make unease your habitual partner, that see, everyone is living with some kind of stress, I am also living with some kind of stress. Just take a pill, pop a pill, and then the next day begins same stress again, but you are not ready to change the path. So I think we have to see that unease is there, and why I am not leaving the same direction that I am running every day. Definitely there must be something that I want from this groove or pattern that is running my life. Some promise this kind of life is holding still for me, which I am not acknowledging. That I am not having the courage to walk or be flexible, as Taru was pointing in the beginning, change paths, change turns if they are not suiting me, because some promise still waits for me in my mind on this particular path that I am running. So I think,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe just
Thank
to
you
be
so much.
honest there. Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. When you told divine uses, like Sri Aurobindo has mentioned that divine uses all circumstances. I could recall one instance where a mother would explain a child what yoga is, wherein on a board she would she would mark 2 points, a source and a destination, where destination would be the divine, and straight line would be the yoga, and the circular path, it just goes round and round, it expands, it goes haywire, and then but finally reaches the divine. So divine would like yoga is the straight line, while the all other activities which are not in line with that would be uh, the other path. So I just thought of mentioning that as well. Yeah, exactly, that's what it is. We have that picture. Okay, thank you so much.
What you just explained, that this, according to her, is the path of yoga, that we can go straight. This is us and this is the divine. And this is how we go. So even if you're making a lot of mistakes and living an aimless life, we will end up here. There is no doubt in that, but it will just be, we can imagine how hard it will be, and it is. And there is a simpler way, a shorter way available. Yeah, anyone else? Anything at this point regarding the passage that we just read, or the conversation we were just having? So just taking this so that we can all just get this fully, that, or as much as we can, that whenever we have time, and we do have windows of time, no matter how busy we are, whether it is an hour or a few minutes, like even few minutes, right? At last I have some, you can tell yourself that at last I have some time to concentrate, to collect myself, to relive the purpose of my life, to offer myself to the true and the eternal. So, we rush to Netflix, we rush to YouTube, we rush to say phones, right? To make a quick phone call, WhatsApp, and everything. And yet, what mother is saying is that this is what you must do. So if you took care to do this each time, you're not harassed by outer circumstances. You would find out that you were advancing very quickly on the path. So instead of wasting your time in chattering and doing useless things, reading things that lower the consciousness, it is better to be moderate, balanced, patient, quiet, but never to lose an opportunity that is given to you. That is to say, to to utilize for the true purpose the unoccupied moment before. Like we're all given, I don't know, there's so much we can do, and yet what we choose to do or pick up will determine the quality, right, of my life. And real true quality I'm talking about, not about this richness and getting settled, but how exactly, how full is my life, how much joy and beauty there is in it, how much quality rather than quantity. So just taking it further, when you have nothing to do, you become restless, right? We see that we want to go out, we want to eat something, we want to go to the mall, we want to fill the gaps, right, with things and events and happiness. So you run about, you meet friends, you take a walk, and instead of that, she says, sit down quietly before the sky, the sea, under the trees, whenever, whatever is possible, and try to realize one of these things, to understand why you live, to learn how you must live, to ponder over what you want to do and what should be done. What is the best way of escaping from the ignorance and falsehood and pain in which we live? So I think the last few lines again are really powerful, and they add another dimension to our lives, right? That when I'm so busy running, never stopping to wonder where am I running and where is this taking me and what will that give me? And if I have few minutes every day, or if I set up time to reflect on this or offer myself, how much the life can change in one day, if I start practicing today. Again, it's about finding the center, finding your anchor.
Okay, but this sitting and trying to meditate upon these things, right? Uh, we usually see it's not everyone's cup of tea. People, they go mad if they try to sit, or this thought of like thinking, being silent, that itself is very much disturbing for them, right?
Yeah, right now,
So
talking of, yeah.
I can share from my experience if it's okay. Yeah, I'm the most restless. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, Aditi here. So and I'm the one who fill my days, who fill my evenings, everything, right? I can't stay still. Um, but I think during COVID, it was kind of like, okay, I can't go out. How much TV can I watch? There is nothing to do. I can't travel. So it was very hard for me. So what I'm saying is it's not easy. It's very hard just sitting still for like even 2 minutes. I would go crazy. But I feel um, it's okay. You have to start somewhere. So for me, it was a start. And then gradually you become better at it. And I have to consciously remind myself, like, within an hour, let's just focus on my breathing, be it like 2 times during the whole hour. But so what I'm trying to say is it's hard, it's very hard. But if I can do it, I feel that, anyone can do it because I'm the most, yeah, yeah. So, but again, it's practice. It's like when you start, um, okay, when you start like walking, you don't know how to run right away, right? So you first you crawl, then you learn how to walk a little bit. You walk like a drunkard, like 2 steps forward, 3 steps backwards, right? But then it's the practice. It's taking out the time and um, sticking to it, and then it becomes like a muscle, and then it becomes a little bit better every day. But I don't think there is any shortcut. Like you just have to do it. Just wanted to share that.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you.
You know, they, there's so many excuses that we can give, that usually the ego gives, that why that thing is not possible or this thing is not possible. And a lot of times the excuses that are given, they are not even experimented, right? It's just assumed that no, I won't be able to do that. So right now in the passage, it wasn't even talking about silence, like it was just, mother was saying to reflect, to think what is the purpose, to think what can be the purpose, what could be the purpose, right? Like, where do I want to head to? So if that is also not my possibility to just sit and think, if I want to change, right? Like, firstly, we want to change, right? We want something more. And that's why, we are here. And yeah, Ritu, you want to say something?
No, I think it just got unmuted.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's it. It's like, and we can take baby steps, right? Like Aditi was saying, that when you start walking, when a child starts walking, he falls more than he stands up, right? And that's okay. And we encourage that, right? That we know that because he needs to fall, because he needs to learn to walk. We don't say that, oh my God, he's falling, let him not fall, let me grab him and carrying him around, he'll never learn to walk. Similarly, we can be that kind and compassionate toward ourselves and others, right? That even if we feel that we are not able to do it right away, and again, baby steps, that we're not talking about complete silence, if that scares me. It shouldn't, but if it does, but just thinking about the aim, that if that also scares me, then I need to wonder, what is happening and where is my life heading. Yes, please, inviting reflection before we move on.
So I think what Aditi just shared, I would really resonate with that, that anything takes practice and we have to start from at least somewhere, so, and mother has again and again said, I think we also have to remind ourselves again that it is not easy for anyone. It is not an easy cup of tea for any one of us. And to many masters and mystics, from a surface it may seem that, oh, for the Buddha it was so easy. But can you imagine the life he lived, like how many hours he spent training his mind? Otherwise how could he have given those instructions that he gave, that the mind is a chattery mind, and these are the steps that one can take to get away from that stickiness and chatter. So I think first we have to realize that there is a need for us to reflect upon this, because there is darkness. The journey is from darkness to light. The journey is that we don't know how to walk, so we begin from the crawling and then trying to walk and then falling and da 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 da, and then learning ultimately how to walk. Yes, Aditi, you want to say something?
No, and yeah, something you said, and I think I thought about it, and I feel one thing we don't do, at least I'm a very self-critical person, but I'm learning, like, you have to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself credit, right? Like, yeah, you can't, because there is a psychological thing, like, more negative you are, you attract more negativity, and then you end up not being successful because you're like, oh my God, I couldn't even sit for 5 minutes and this is so bad. And next day, guess what? You won't be able to sit even for 3 minutes, right? So I think you have to acknowledge when you're doing good and keep encouraging yourself and have positive talk to yourself, so that as you said, like, giving yourself grace and credit, and to be able to push yourself to do it.
Absolutely. And there is one talk by Thich Nhat Hanh, which I'm reminded of at this, that when somebody asks him the question, that since he always talks about bringing the mind to the present moment and bringing the mind to the breath, somebody asks him very tricky question, I would say. And then in the beginning, he comments that that's a good question. So it's a worth watch. And somebody asks, what to do when the present moment feels unbearable? It's a very good talk. Those of us who are interested, it's there on YouTube. Maybe Taru can share it on your group later. So he shares that the present moment is the only chance for us, the only chance to meet our own selves intimately. And when we come back home to the present moment, we realize that there are many, many other conditions of happiness possible, which we were not able to get to when we were only focusing on the thoughts, as Aditi was sharing, that only on the negative points. What is missing from my life? What is missing from my life? So I think parallelly, we have to also lessen the panic in which we live. And today, last night I was in the emergency in one hospital, and I was sharing with Taru that it's so grounding to be and to actually visit hospitals from time to time, especially the ICUs and the emergencies, and you realize that, oh my God, you really, really have so much going on which is functional. And you really take it for granted, all of us, including myself, that when we don't see that every second person is coming either bleeding or really suffering badly, really badly, even physically. We may undergo a mental emotional turmoil every day, but when it comes to physical level, I think then we wake up from our dream. So it's good to see and get that shock going and visiting emergency departments in the hospital, especially in India. And I would see that emergencies are similar everywhere, but in India it is very stark because there is lots of population, people of all economic strata. So to see that really we are in such a blessed position, we are able to breathe, our intellect is working, we are mentally still okay, that we can talk about these things, we can turn up for these sessions, we can think of doing something with our lives. Not everyone has that opportunity. Even this basic coordination of where to put my next step, we take it for granted. Everyone can't do that so easily. That's also grace. I think Aditi was pointing that there are so many things of grace that is available right now. So being grateful, I think really noticing that so many pieces and parts which you have no idea how they are working, they are working. I think that really brings us back, and that's what Thich Nhat Hanh shares in that there are so many other conditions of happiness which are possible, and maybe we can pick up threads from there and do something good with our life, whatever little possible, do something good. Yeah.
So I think one thing I also want to add is, again, what you said, Monica. I feel it's so important to be grateful. And then just, as you said, like we forget what we have. I mean, even the fact that we can walk and, like are healthy, that's such a big plus, right? So I think that's also important, just acknowledging the positives, because otherwise we are always complaining, right? I don't have this, I don't have that. But it's like, are you appreciating what you have? So I think that is also very important.
And gratitude is one of the 12 attributes that mother shares. It's in, there is a symbol of the mother for those of us who are versed with it. And there are outer, it's like a flower shaped symbol. And there are outer 12 petals. And then there is inner 4 petals. Each aspect has a meaning. And there are 12 attributes which are necessary in the path of sadhana or life, and one of them is gratitude. So really resonate with focusing on so many things that we can be grateful for. And mother says that to have an attitude of gratitude is a very good blessing in our life, no matter how short. It may be very short that we focus on it, but to focus on it is yes, beautiful. So these are the qualities that are required on the path, and there must be gratitude somewhere. Yeah. below on the right side. Next to perseverance, there is gratitude, yes. And also she talks about gratitude to the universe, to the divine. There are a few qualities which are an attitude towards the divine, and gratitude is one of the qualities towards the divine, towards the universe, that to give us a functional body, to give us a functional intellect, and I can breathe and I can, talk about things. So to be grateful for each coming day. Yes.
I would like to add to this. So, you know, in the beginning of this meeting, I've heard about this seed example, and I couldn't help but compare. I couldn't help but imagine how a human, what a seed would be if it were in a human form without any distractions and being so determined that it is going to become a tree and being uncorrupted. And then I realized that how boring a life would that be, just being just already knowing what I'm going to do, rather than experimenting and facing different things in life, trying different resources and trying different using different resources and trying different aspects. One thing I realize is um, effort is more important than result. That's something I've read. And someone said how to meditate and how it is very hard. I find that every time I tried to do meditation, I had this selfish motive that I want to be this, or I want to become this after meditation. So that's kind of a selfish motive. So my efforts were all directed towards getting a result out of it. And my question here is, how can one be unselfish? Like trying to be able to give in the effort without expectation. All you have to do, all one has to do, is just give it the effort and leave the rest to mother, or to anyone they believe in. How to do that? Thank you.
I think everything is relative and everything has a space and a place, right? Like, mother says that ego is the helper, ego is the bar, desire is the helper, desire is the bar, and whatnot. Like, I think you can put this for each and everything. So I think in the beginning, and I think I don't know, till a very big extent, being selfish is a very good thing. Because if you are living just as a community, right, just doing things that you're supposed to be doing, and just going by responsibilities and duties and uh, morality, that doesn't take us anywhere, right? It just gives us these approvals and these brownie points which we cannot cash anywhere. So at that time you need to be selfish, that no, I cannot do this, or something in me doesn't agree with this, or I don't have time, and yet because I'm selfish, I am taking out, say 20 minutes for sitting down with myself. Because if I'm not selfish, I won't be able to take out that time. So selfish is like thinking about myself, right? Yes, Aditi, please, you can start talking, right? You don't
Oh
have
no,
to
no,
say.
no. You should go. You're good. I think it's just like, but I feel selfish. Being selfish is the best thing. So growing up in India, I was taught you don't say no to people. You always say yes. And then I was this yes person. Even though I'm miserable, I would still say yes. And I think finally reaching the level where it's like, you know what, I need to take care of myself first, and saying no is okay. So I think if you can't take care of yourself, to be honest, I don't think I can take care of anyone around me. So if I'm miserable, everyone will be. So I think it's important that understanding what you want to do and being selfish, like being guarded about your time, and only spend, so I think it's a good thing, even though we see it as a bad, but I think it's good.
I think it's important till a point after which maybe you won't even need it, right? And then you can drop it, like we were talking about flexibility. But it's not necessarily a bad thing, and it is useful. So further to that, Jagan, you were talking about expectations, right? So just how you so beautifully described that when you would sit for your meditation, you would see how you have certain expectations, certain images, and then it wasn't happening, right? It doesn't happen. So now that you have tried that way, and now you can try a different way, right? So this is how we basically stumble and we experiment and we try to have expectations, and then we see we are not getting results or it's bringing more misery. So now I give that up, right? That I have always worked towards a goal. But for right now, say just 5 minutes every day at a fixed time, just 5 minutes. If I can see that, if I can just focus on my breath, like with an alarm, not 6 minutes, just 5 minutes a day, they say is better than 2 hours on Sunday. So let me be honest, right? Like that's how I think one can progress. And when one sees where one is being clever, so offering that cleverness, when one sees that the expectations from me or from anyone, where have they always led me? And what have they created for myself and the other? Then one slowly starts seeing that, okay, is it possible not to have this? Reduce it, reduce it, reduce it till you're ready to give up, the beggar's bowl that put this in this, put this in this. So what you were describing had the answer in itself perfectly, that it's a journey. And we make faults, we make things, like we make mistakes and we learn.
Yes, ma'am. That is absolutely true. But uh, one thing I find it hard is, selfish has its own quirks and features. It is good in a way. It is also not so good in a way. Uh, let's say there is a person, he is doing a certain task out of an expectation, and he puts his mind and soul into it for a really long time, and the he doesn't get the fruits out of it. He doesn't get anything out of it. So what happens is that kind of triggers his motivation. Like, he gets demotivated, and he feels like, okay, you know what, I put so much effort, but maybe this is not for me. Maybe I'm just wasting my time. um I would like to connect to this point, another point from last week's, not last week's, but before last week's meeting, that I was told that life is so short and we shouldn't take it for granted. Then how to kind of recover from such a scenario quick, so we don't waste precious moments, time in our life, and still be on the same track, or try to figure it out.
Hmm.
Thank you.
So I would
Yeah,
just in resonance with uh, the discussion earlier, what Aditi and Taru were sharing, that uh, we have to also see that what am I selfish for, and to see that to be selfish for our own sanity, to be selfish for our own peace is a worth kind of a selfishness. And also a question that aren't we all selfish anyway? We are all living a life which we wanted. We wanted to buy a property, we wanted to do a degree, we wanted to have this much of a stipend or a money that we are having, we wanted. So I think we also have to recognize that no matter how uh, kind of unruly the life's circumstances may be, which are different for anyone. Like many a times we choose things, but many a times we don't choose things. They're like offered to us, and we can't say no. The only thing that we can shift, and which has not been said for the first time here, which has been repeated many times with masters mystics, is the inner attitude. The only thing in our hand is the inner attitude. But it is so hard to change the inner attitude that we can talk about how life is for 3 hours, but we would not work on shifting the inner attitude. Why? Because it's a pattern that we are running inside. And the attitude right now I am running is a attitude of lack, always blaming situations from my condition, always trying to find out something is wrong in the outer situation. But the moment I shift the attitude that, okay, I understand that life has brought me here, this is the situation. Now, how is the best possible way I can steer through this situation? I think there really some shift happens. And how Jagan was sharing that how to make this immediately, like radically. I may be running a life which is not a very fulfilling life, but do I have a possibility that I make a radical shift right away? And I feel that if there is a willingness to do this radical change, there is a possibility with each one of us, no matter how dire our situation is. Because the moment, even if I'm living in a prison and my food has all the kankat pathar and hair and the dirt in it, even then the moment I shift my attitude, the life changes. And it is not said for the first time. People have done it in Nazi concentration camps. The moment people shifted their inner attitude, they were able to have a good time even there, no matter how dire the situations. So I think one of the things that I see here is to take, as mother says, each opportunity as how can I progress through this situation. Yes, the situation is very difficult. Yes, it is not to my liking, and yet there must be something that the situation is hinting me towards. What can I learn from it? And also what all of you were sharing, that knowing that the mind is untamed, knowing that the mind is restless, how can I use these 2 minutes to ingather the consciousness? Forget about big things, forget about being a superman and finding the true purpose of life. Right now I have my mind with me. Can I focus only for 2 minutes and try to ingather my mind? And mother says that each step of progress brings us a greater joy, which no outer material wealth can give us. And to have a taste for that true joy that comes with progress, I think that really makes a big radical change. It may not appear very big, it's very simple. When we talk about it, appears like, oh, this much, no, I wanted some glitter, so we miss the point completely, looking for that glitter, where right now in front of me the 2 steps are waiting. When will I take those 2 steps?
Yeah, Srini, you had unmuted.
Okay, and just to add on to the point, you had a question, right? When you do a job or a project, and when you do not get the desired results, so just to add on, we can expect some results, but we should not be attached to that. That is what Gita is telling. If we are attached, then we'll have that suffering. We just need to um, uh, give the results. We need to surrender it to the God.
I have an additional point here, Srini, that in fact, in the same ground, on the same table, where you are sharing that we should not be attached to the result, you can actually say that in the beginning, you must be attached to the result. You must know that, oh, what is this life giving me? The practice that I am following every day by day, has it really given me any fulfillment? So I think just like Taru was sharing earlier, ego was the helper, ego is the bar. And surrender just can't begin like that. We just can't immaturely begin to surrender. And mother shares, what will you surrender to me when you are not even well-formed individuality? So first form your individuality. So temporary individuality, knowing what I truly want from my life, living it, I think that really, that stabilization is for a long time necessary before we can even think of walking the way of Gita or surrendering our life to the divine. So I have to actually ask this question that, okay, I am living this kind of a life every day. What has it given me? I think there we must ask. We will not be able to say that, oh, let me not care about the result, let it bring me suffering, and let me walk this path. We can't do that. We are not dumb people. So I see that this kind of life that I'm living every day, it's not a soul fulfilling life. It's not giving me that what I truly need from within. And then deciding to, as in the beginning was shared, that to be flexible, to be exploring and to change my path and to have a taste for real fulfillment in life. That okay, these 2 minutes that I spent throughout my 24 hours brought me real fulfillment. So reflective, being a bit reflective there when we have quiet times, and not to discard those 2 moments that, oh, they just happened by chance. No, you gave your precious time to those 2 minutes or 30 minutes, and they were soul fulfilling. And I have to acknowledge that, yes, they were. So I think I would not ignore and become detached in the very beginning. It is not possible. So being attached to the result in the beginning is very important, and to see that
Okay.
what is the path I am walking. Yes.
Okay. Then to answer Jagan's question, like he was mentioning about putting all the efforts into a project, but not getting the desired outcome. So, uh, 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 is it just the change of inner attitude which you prescribe for him?
Actually, I'm not prescribing anything. I'm not in a position to prescribe anything. But yeah, if people
I can
have things, yeah.
I can share my experience. Can you guys? Sorry, I'm driving. So, did my first job interview. Everyone used to be like, "I'll be the first person to get it." Right? I was one of the last people to get the jobs. But I think it's important, like how you take that lesson, right? So for me, it was shocking that I would clear the written exams and I would not make it in the interview. So I think what you do with that feedback, I think it's important. Like I chose it to be like it will happen when it will happen. I won't let this thing define me. This is something I want, but this is not something that decides if I'm going to be happy or sad. I have friends job stuff, but I think it made me, when I started rejoicing in their success, because I feel there is enough for everyone and for everyone to be happy. So there are lessons, right? What
Yeah, Aditi, your voice is
and
breaking and it started breaking pretty badly. I could
sorry,
understand. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, but you got just right. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for your perspective, and also thank you, Srini and Aditi, for sharing your thoughts. With regards to being like what you said is absolutely right, that being attached to attached to the result in the beginning will help you use your resources optimally, but also being able to get out of it quick will help with the recovery. So like I'm sorry for bringing the last week's topic again and again, but the last time we had a meeting, it was about surrendering. So how does one truly surrender to the point that at least to the point where he or she isn't attached with the result, but he or she will still put in the effort?
No, I think we have a lot to learn from children here, keeping it very simple and not to really complicate, because we adults really have the power to complicate matters to infinity. And when you see little children, you see that they don't compromise on their joy. They are very stubborn. I think we did reflect over it in the last few sessions also, if I'm not wrong, that how a child is very stubborn. If he has to play, he just has to play, and he doesn't bother about your bed sheet or what new furniture you got in the house or how expensive it is and how much mehnat, the dad or mom have done to buy the furniture. He just does not bother about that. All he's concerned is to focus on his delight, on his joy. I think that's a beautiful reflection already of surrender. He's surrendered to his delight. We don't have to go further. Just staying very, very simple. And as adults, we begin to compromise on our delight every day. Why do we compromise? Because this, what I am doing in the name of delight, will it bring me money? I ask me, and then it says, no, it will not bring you money, but it will bring you delight. So I say, oh, then I can't do that because it will not bring me money. And I have heard from everywhere that whatever brings you money is good for you. Do that when you are adults. So I think we get conditioned in such a way we don't even realize our conditioning, and we begin to compromise on our joy each day, each day, each day. And like that, you would not believe we have the capacity as adults to pass a whole lifetime compromising on our joy. And then we wonder, why are all these diseases appearing to me? Why is autoimmunity appearing to me? Why is cancer appearing to me? But I don't question that I have started to compromise on my joy. And mother talks about a childlike simplicity, a childlike sweet trust and surrender. Just basically be very simple at heart. A child is not in the beginning very manipulative. He learns to be manipulative very soon, because adults are around 7, 8 years of age. He knows how to manipulate an adult even before. But truly, children in the beginning are not manipulative. They are just following their joy. They're experiencing life like a scientist, like a curious observer. And that's it. Very simple. They don't have to talk about surrender. They don't have to discuss what is detached living, because they are detached. The only thing they are attached to is their delight, which comes naturally in that simple hearted state. So I think we have very many lessons to keep it very simple and not to really get into too much philosophical discussion, which we can do. Of course we can do, but it does not serve any end. So to not compromise on each, and when we reflect over 24 hours of day, all of us, no matter how miserable life we may be living right now, we will see that there must be 5 minutes or 2 minutes of true joy that we have touched. And mother says never to compromise on that, and to tell myself that if I have lived for 2 minutes that joy, I have the power to live it again, again, again. I can follow my delight again. Nobody is pressurizing me. Nobody can compel me. Really, I am the one who is giving my power away to circumstances. And if I stop being that stubborn, things can change. In a day, as Taru was sharing in the beginning, in a day you feel the change if you make a radical shift.
Thank you, ma'am.
One thing that you have said, repeated, I think at least 2 times today was fast, right? How do we quickly know it's a mistake? How do we quickly drop the, I don't know, anything, the attachment? And yet things don't happen very quickly, and our definition of quicks again are very relative. So again, just using the example of a little child who is learning to walk, you would not say that, let him quickly walk so that, unnecessary falling does not happen. It doesn't need to happen. And yet it's not a possibility because his legs are weak. By walking, and how initially the child, he keeps just sitting and getting up, sitting and getting up, sitting and getting up. His muscles are being developed, the muscles are being toned, they are being strengthened. You can't tell the child or, wish that, he would, let's stop these things that are not necessary, right? You have been sitting and now just walk. What's wrong? Why are you wasting time? So that time is not getting wasted, right? That time is being utilized so that he's kind of developing his muscles, right? And he won't be able to walk till that happens. So just like that, the things that I'm experiencing, what I can do is bring more honesty in my observation, right? Let me see more facts right now. That, okay, this is leading to this. This happens and I do this. What if I don't do this and do that, right? Like those are the things that I have control over and I can develop the muscles for. And last time also, if I remember, we're not talking about surrender. We were talking about how living in the moment, if we can just remember that, offering, if we can just remember that, we must forget about surrender. That would naturally happen. The leaves, when they have to drop, when they have to leave the tree, they don't really have to prepare. It naturally happens. But while they are living, they live fully, right? So if we can just live more fully, like, following the joy, doing things that interest us, seeing what my aim and purpose, I want, what purpose, what aim I want, and not what I'm being told I should have, that in itself would really bring a lot of I don't know, again, I don't know, joy and truth in our life. And surrendering, I think, would take care of itself. So not something that, we need to think about right now. It's a happening more than a doing. And but the small steps that we can take are the doings that would lead to the happening.
I would resonate, what was being shared, and I'm reminded of how, imagine that it's our condition sometimes becomes like this, that imagine that my hand is in fire, and it's burning, but I'm so busy in many philosophical things that I'm asking that, hand is still burning, it's giving me pain, but I'm asking, but how do I surrender? I mean, the first thing is to bring my hand out of pain and apply some, really something soothing to that pain. So I think this is really very important, these little steps which we can't ignore and keep on ignoring while waiting for something really big to happen and talking about big things. That if right now I see myself in even a bit of struggle and turmoil, then to really question the way I live and to reduce the amount of suffering and to remove my hand from the fire if it's getting burned. Yeah. That has to be the first step. Yes.
Ma'am, so how do I, like, how does one connect their experiences to their hand in the fire? Like, how can one relate it? Like, pulling one's hand back and applying something soothing, that is very clear, but how can we connect real world, like, real world problems or
Yeah.
real world issues?
Yeah. Yeah. I think to be very sensitive to your own pain. If you look at our voices, how we speak, in our voice itself, pain and suffering, they reflect. But we are so blinded, and that we keep on having our hand in the fire, and we keep on asking others that, please tell me, where is the fire? Where is the fire? I mean, that is the amount of blinding that we have. That's the condition. So I think to become so sensitive to have, I think Aditi was sharing in the beginning that, and be another topic, that being truly selfish for ourselves, that we deserve a good life. All of us, this path, Mother has shared that this path is not of a suffering. We don't have to really want suffering in life. So we don't have to continue those ways which are bringing us so much of trouble in the name of money and property and wealth and taking care of others, that we keep compromising each day, every day that we live. And wouldn't I be able to serve better, even so-called my relatives and family, when I myself am able to live in joy and delight and certain lightness? I have seen with myself that the days when I'm myself light, uncomplicated, those are the days when I'm best able to serve my family and society. So even if there is a want that what will happen to my obligations and responsibilities, that I want to serve the family, ask yourself, won't you be able to serve your family well when you are first yourself taking care of, okay, how am I feeling today? Am I really living a life that I want to live? Each day, one at a time, not having big dreams, but one day at a time. And then you will automatically know we all have this discerning intelligence that is given to us. We don't have to ask anyone, where is the fire and how do I remove my hand? I mean, this basic intelligence you have, no? Somebody hits your car. Do you still stay close to that hitting, or do you remove your car from that hitting? We are so sensitive about our cars. Immediately, our house is burning, we call the fire brigade. But when our being is burning, we have to ask people, such as our blindness, that is my being burning? Okay, tell me, where is it burning? Such is our blindness. That to our material wealth and all that, we are so sensitive. Right now, if I stomp on your feet, won't you slap me or ask me to remove my feet from your feet because it's hurting you? Of course you would. But when it comes to the inward turning, to be very sensitive to how am I feeling today in my inner being? Am I easy, or am I still in struggle? What is giving me struggle? Okay, is it worth striving for what I am struggling for? So all these questions, which again were already discussed today, to reflect, as mother was sharing in that passage, to what kind of a life am I living? Is it worth living? The path that I'm taken, and in the name of some promise that will be fulfilled in future, and I'm spending days and days and hours waiting for that fulfillment to come. Is it a worth kind of a life that I'm living? I think then we will all know by our own selves what is to be the path that we need to follow. We don't have to ask anyone, really. And really look at the situation that one time I was in Zurich and really feeling very abandoned and lost. And I asked myself this question, that 14-15 years of education I did, and I don't even know what to do with this lostness. What has this education, outward focused education, given me? That all this history, geography, mathematics, what has it given me? Because that's not helping me here. I'm feeling so lost and abandoned. And all my education, 14 years, I was never told how to come back home to myself. I was never told how to tame my own mind. So if now I become aware that how much is the importance of keeping my tools in a decent condition, and mind is a tool, feeling is a tool, body is a tool. So right now, as Aditi was sharing in the beginning, that any place is a good place to begin. So let me begin right away and bring my being in a decent state, that my mind listens to me when I say, okay, sit with breath for 3 minutes, and it listens, it agrees. And when I say, okay, stepping back from the feelings for 3 minutes, and the feelings listen to me. I think let us take these, at least these baby steps, no matter wherever we are, and not to really go towards far-fetched aims which are just philosophical inquiries, nothing else. Yeah, I think that is a good enough place to begin. And then we will know where is the fire, and how much water needs to be given, and where do I want to take the hand off. Then I will automatically know when I'm sensitive. Yes.
In the sunlight part, Madhav has again spoken a lot about sincerity. Like she hasn't spoken in the sunlight part, but the sunlight part book mentions sincerity as one of the main virtues that one needs to have on the path, like a seeker, a person who wants to transform. He needs to be sincere. So I think we'll take that next time. We'll talk about sincerity. We'll take passages because that would be helpful. So before we end, any more reflections, any last comments?
Ooh, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
I just have
perfect.
one. So they say in my son's school, they say you have to have your glass full before you can fill others. So I think that's just something that Monica said, like you have to take care of yourself. So I'm very happy today. So I donated $10 to someone on the road, so I think I did good. So in general, like I feel if I'm happy, I can, be a better person around the people I love. And yeah, so just take care of yourself. That's all.
Thank you. Yes, Ritu, you have unmuted. I don't know if it's by mistake or you want to say something.
No, I muted purposely. So I love today sharing, especially what Aditi shared about a child trying to walk. And I actually, when I compare myself, it's quite similar. I mean, a lot of times I feel that I should practice daily. I know that these are the things which I need to work on. But then I do work on at some occasions, but then there are times when I falter. So I think that's like a child only, like you said, even to stand up, a child falls down many times before it muscles gets developed. So that's a good comparison. And I also wanted to ask you and Monica, like if you have to answer in a word or a sentence, like what's your purpose of life? So what would you say?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know what I would say because I think I can say a lot about what my purpose is not
Mm-hmm.
than what it is. And if I have to put it, I don't know, simply, I would say that just again, how say what Monica was sharing about, say, having those little victories. So right now, for me, practicing and gaining a little bit of mastery, right? Like we were talking that, okay, if I tell the mind, like she was saying that, okay, listen to me for 3 minutes. These next 5 minutes are not for just thinking, right? This time I am focusing on breath. So some, those little steps that I can think of achieving. So just focusing on that right now for me, just, and knowing more and more what is not the purpose. And once you see it, how it just leaves you. So that is what I think that came to me when you asked me. So,
Yeah, I think I would resonate with what you share. And I also see that whenever I'm taking these baby steps over my imperfections and understanding and learning through each and every moment of life, I think there is joy in life. Automatically, it's like I didn't run after it, but whenever we, as mother shares that, whenever you make even a little progress within yourself, like you were able to today, bring your mind to breath and stay focused even for 20 seconds, I think that automatically, without you wanting it, it brings a little joy, and that tells you that it is the right direction to go. I think we have to be very sensitive to that inner guide, inner compass, that whenever we make even a little progress within us, we feel that little joy. And it is not an excitement that we feel. There is a difference between excitement and joy. it's like almost a gladness, that you feel. And it's, yeah, I think that much is enough. One moment per moment, one day by day. I think these baby steps are more than enough, and not to really go further into big things. These things are really big enough, which may not appear big. Having little victories, as mother shares, over our own inner demons and things that we have to transcend. That much is enough. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
What you said about gratitude, how when one is able to do a small thing which one was unable to before, or say not react when one was reacting before, the gratitude, the word that you used, and even, when we were discussing mother's symbol, gratitude feels like a basis of so many other things, right? Like somehow it feels that, again, at least to my mind, that okay, for peace, I must have some gratitude. For humility, I would have some gratitude. Like it seems like a very building stone for, I don't know, standing in peace, breathing in peace, for having touching joy. Gratitude seems like it's like the salt in a dish. I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. That's really nice way to put it.
Okay, so we'll end the session now. Thank you so much for joining in and staying till the end with Tu, Javan, Srini, Harika. And hope we can see each other again next week for more reflections and readings. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Happy practice. Thank you.
Thank you all.